I've been racking my brain trying to figure this out, so I'm going to need some help. So please just interact with this video, boo.
All right, so go watch his video. I love his content. Definitely somebody you should follow if you're not. He's wondering why it is so many people he's known throughout his life are now hating him because essentially he's maintained the same leftist view and they've somehow changed. And that's a really rough summarization of it, but go watch his video to get that. And I'm going to try to answer his question with my opinion of it. Doesn't mean it's the end all says all to it, but here's the deal. He's been in politics from a very young age, as was I. My first real big foray into politics was because CNN was constantly running all the time at home. So I heard all these things I wasn't aware of. So I started to look into them and try to become more aware of them. This was very hard back before internet. And so I had to listen to those sources and think about it and then kind of look at what was going on and read things, read a lot of magazines, a lot of newspapers. That's just what there was. And granted, there's still slant on that, but kind of had to filter that information. So if you're like Adam there, and you have been absorbing politics and news and other sources your entire life, what happens is you form opinions earlier than your peers or the people around you and everything. What I find is that being political at a young age is a very lonely existence. A lot of people don't agree with you or don't understand you or don't want to listen to it. They don't want to hear it. They're not involved, right? I've experienced this a lot at this age. I don't know how old he is, but I'm almost 40. Now, you start having these opinions. You have facts to back them up in some cases. What happens, though, is everybody that was in your age group that didn't get into politics, pay attention to the news beyond a surface level, or investigate things further, and didn't develop those critical thinking skills, they have these biases based on just their life experience and nothing else. So when something bad happens, they'll blame the first thing they can, and the first thing that reinforces that blame is what they resonate with. This is why people that get into politics later tend to find places like Fox News and all these other sources so much quicker because it's right there in their face and it's easy. It shows up in their feeds, it shows up on their phones, everywhere, just so easily. So it's not that you've changed. The reason they hate you is because you challenge that belief that they've been developing. Because you're wrong, because you're repeating the side that they've been told is wrong in the last 5-10 years, that they've suddenly become aware of politics around them. Suddenly the world became a bigger place and they don't know how to cope with it. You do. You've had the chance to analyze these things, so you understand the truth. You can't reason with them, though, because they've been told by somebody else in a suit that knows better. That's the portion of it. So when stuff comes up politically, people that have looked at things longer have a better understanding of it, but these other people don't. And suddenly you become the enemy because that's what they've been told. And they'd rather be told what to think because that's easier at this point than have to try to figure it out for themselves because they lack the critical thinking now. It's literally been pulled away from them to a degree that they couldn't do it if they needed to, and they become afraid of things. Food gets expensive. That's scary. The world starts having wars. That's scary. So they're looking for answers. But because you have a logical answer that they would have to look into and you have to support facts for it, it is too complicated to digest. I don't know why I said that weird, but to digest. Because that would involve them having to critically think, and they really just want the person in the TV box to shout the simple one-sentence answer at them. And that's why you see so many people that used to be good people suddenly become homophobic, racist, xenophobic, because they're being fed those answers. It's unfortunate. And I've started to believe later on, this is where you can disagree with me on this, but where most people may disagree with me is at this portion, which is I think that once a person gets into their 30s and they've already been hardened into this fearful state where they can't think for themselves, they're done. There's no changing their mindset anymore. I think very few people would be able to be unindoctrinated, to be deprogrammed, so to speak. I hate that word, and it's such a small amount. They just go on being bitter. That's it. Because for them to challenge the views they have at that point, they don't have the skills anymore. So I hope that helps. Let me know what you think. Anybody else, if you have thoughts on this, feel free to leave comments on his video as he's looking for the answer to this. This was just my commentary. Has anybody else seen what he's talking about? And how have you dealt with it? For me, I've cut off a lot of family, unfortunately. I was just not able to deal with the things they were saying anymore. There was no way to change their mind, and I got tired of arguments with people. At this age, unfortunately, I just cut people like that out. I had a friend that I had known since high school, and unfortunately, he shifted this way. We were practically the same age, And I finally just cut him out because the behaviors he was exhibiting started to affect me. And I mean financially and otherwise. Like, he was making bad decisions, and I just realized that if I continued the friendship with him, I was going to be out some money, property, etc., because he was just doing terrible things. That's a longer story, maybe for another time. Really is awful and horrible. But what can you do?